Jayana. Thank you so much for coming in. Hi, Selena. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hi. Hi. Can you guys see me okay? Hi, Dr. Cece. Good to see you. Good to see you. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, Dakota. Thank you so much for coming in, guys. As you are coming in, please, please, please. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Please share this with your followers. I'm going to go into some depth. Thank you for the hearts. Hi, Broken Silence. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Please start sharing this with your followers. As you are coming in, I so much appreciate it. And thank you so much for the hearts. For those of you guys who are brand new to me, my name is Jen, the Grant Guru. I am a professional fundraiser. I have been writing grants, doing research for grants, and reviewing grants for close to 30 years. So my career has been in helping nonprofit organizations not only identify grants. Thank you so much for sharing, Dr. Cece. Thank you so much. Hi, Day. Thanks for joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the hearts. Guys, my career for close to 35 years or 30 years has been helping nonprofit organizations get the funding that they need, as well as develop systems within your organization for sustainability. All right, for sustainability. Hi, Reg. Thank you so much for coming in. So, guys, what I talk a lot about is being grant ready. And not just being grant ready. Hi, Jayana. Thank you so much for inviting your followers. I appreciate that. You guys, not just being grant ready in terms of I'm ready to write a grant, but also being prepared to manage that grant, being prepared to do the work beyond getting the grant, because there is a reporting process, all right? And you need more than one grant. Understanding that your organization also needs to think about sustainability. For the last couple of days, we have been defining and breaking down sustainability and what that includes, okay? Nonprofit organizations fail because they don't have a sustainability plan, all right? They're not able to articulate their impact and poor leadership, all right? That is why nonprofit organizations fail. The grant writing process, everybody has the same application, everybody has the same deadline, everybody has the same rules and restrictions, right? So it's not the size of your organization that will have you disqualified. I, as a grant reviewer, when you submit your proposals, right, they come to a panel, and I could be on one of those panels. And what we are looking for those organizations that are able to articulate impact of their program. We are looking for organizations that are able to define the need, right? And are able to, hi, Pellamini, thank you so much for coming in, that they are able to define the need in their community and that they have a strong program to meet that need. All right? Hello, hello. Does that make sense? Okay? Does that make sense? So when we are reviewing and understanding that the grant process is a competitive process, not everyone is going to get the grant funding, right? Not everyone who applies. As a reviewer, I've shared a lot. You guys, I get a stack of applications to review, and I'm disqualifying as fast as I can. Why? Because I want to make sure that those who are able to articulate their program needs, it ties in with your mission, and you are able to demonstrate impact and tie that with the budget. Those are the ones who get the funding. Everybody's able, guys. Everybody's able to do that, right? If you have a strong program, if you are able to articulate that, then you need to be competitive, right? You need to be in part of the process. The only people who get grants are those that apply. And those that apply who actually get the award are those whose proposals are strong enough to rise to the top. However, not everyone is going to get funding. And if you don't happen to get funding this time, that does not mean that you can't reapply in the future, all right? And that you can leverage even the declination letter. So when you receive a letter, you just call them and say, listen, did you guys happen to have comments? Did the reviewers write comments? I write comments on all the applications that I review. And I write the comments because I hope that the organization will ask for those comments, and it will help them further understand, did they meet the criteria? What areas could they have improved on their writing? All of that is a part of what the reviewer will provide for you guys if you ask for it. All right? If that makes sense, put a 1 in the chat before I move on. If that made sense, please put a 1 in the chat. Guys, I have been doing this work for close to 30 years. I don't want to say something that you guys don't understand me and you're like, oh my gosh, what did she mean by that? Please, please, please feel free to stop me at any time and ask questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Cece. So listen, guys, this is what the process of grant writing includes. All right. If you guys are going to hire a grant writer, and if you choose not to learn how to do it your own, which I do in my grant writing boot camp, but if you decide to hire a grant writer and not learn how to do it yourself, let me tell you what the process is. This is the process of grant writing, all right? This is the process of grant writing. Hi, MP. Thank you so much for joining. Dr. Cece, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. So this is the process. Hi, Kuman. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for the hearts, guys. Thank you to the replay viewers, and for those of you guys who are just coming in. I am Jen the Grant Guru. I've got close to 30 years of grant writing, grant research, and grant review experience. I not only write grants, but I help organizations train their boards, understand what their infrastructure should be, not just for getting the grant dollar, but making sure that you have an organizational that is sustainable. All right. Hi, Terrell. Thank you so much for coming in. All right, guys, so the process of grant writing, thank you so much for the hearts, includes identifying the appropriate funder. I get phone calls all the time. Jen, can you help? Can you research a grant for me? Jennifer, can you go out and find funding for me? That is the process of identifying a funder that is likely to fund your organization. Now, what is it that they are looking for? What is a funder looking for? And how do you know? Hi, Muslim. Thank you so much for coming in. How do you know it's a good fit? All right. The funder, the foundation or the federal agency, if it's a federal grant, whoever it is, they have put out an application. Now, you want to do research on the foundation. You want to understand what is the mission of that organization or that agency. What is the impact or the intention of the application? So in the application, they're going to tell you the target audience. They're going to tell you the scale and scope of restrictions. They're also going to tell you who can apply, who cannot apply. They're going to tell you how much money is available. They're going to tell you how you can spend the money. They're going to say you can spend the money on training, you can spend the money on capital, you can spend the money on construction, you can spend the money on other things, right? They will tell you this is what you can spend the money on. And then they will tell you the average gift. When you are identifying the appropriate funder, how do you find the funders? There's a whole lot of sites, right? There's a lot of sites out there that will, most people go to the foundation center. You just have to know how to, read the criteria. That's it. You just have to learn how to read the criteria. And that is why most grant writers charge so much money, because it's a time-intensive process, right? So for me, I've been doing it for so long, I can look at something and I can say within a couple of minutes if it's going to work or not. Some people have to read the whole thing, and I just happen to know what to look for because I've been doing it for so long. But it's something that I absolutely would love to teach people, and I do teach people when I'm training. When I'm doing a grant writing training or something, I tell people, this is what you are looking for. This is how to zero in, because it could be pages and pages of stuff. And you really just want to know, what's the criteria? What is the interest? How much are they giving? What is the restrictions? All right. And you want to make sure. Hi, Cater. Thank you so much for coming in. You want to make sure that you have matched, you have identified the appropriate funder, and that you are matching missions. You are matching what they say that they want with what you say you want. All right? That's what you want to do, because that is where the relationship starts. Once that has been done, Once that has been done, then you also want to start communicating, right? Communicating with your board, communicating with your stakeholders, communicating with those who are going to help you write the grant, communicating your program, communicating your impact. If you have received the funding, you want to start communicating within your community that your organization exists, that your services are being provided, and how they can come and be a part of that. All right? So once you've identified the funding, you've matched that you guys do have a similar interest or the same interest that you can, in fact, implement the program that they are interested in seeing impact in. They will say, listen, we're interested in teens. That's our interest. And we are interested in funding a program around mentoring, around gang prevention, around alcohol, around hello, Honesty. Thank you so much for coming in. Please share this with your followers, guys. I've been doing this work for close to 30 years, and I am super, super, super passionate about what I do, all right? I'm super passionate, and I want you guys to be successful. So once you have identified the funding and they have said what they are wanting to fund, and you say, hey, that's what we do. That's a part of our mission. We can actually absolutely implement that program and manage the funds. You want to start communicating, all right? You want to start communicating with your stakeholders. You want to start communicating with those in your community about what you are doing, how the funds have been there, and how they can be involved. All right. And then you want to start implementing the program. Once you start implementing the program, you also want to make sure that there are systems in place for outcomes. That not only are you implementing, which is a designated dollar program, the grants go to a program, and they want to know how you implemented that program. And they want to know how the funds were spent in that program. Grants are designated dollars, all right? So as you are implementing your program, you are keeping track of how the money is dispersed, who's the money going to, what is the impact of your program. All of that is the process of the grant writing. That when you are writing your proposal, you are including how is it going to be implemented, how is it going to be managed. All of that goes in the writing, right? I, as a reviewer, am looking at programs that have a great design, great impact, measurable impact, and that they have a system to manage how the funds are going to be spent. All right? Why? Because you're also going to have to report. You're going to have to report back to the funder what happened. Did you meet your goals and objectives? How was the money spent? Right? And based on that report, now it gives them, the funder, the opportunity to invite you for the next cycle, because grants only come in cycles. They're probably a year, right? Unless you get a multi-year grant. But either way, you got to report along that process. Even if you got a multi-year grant, they're going to ask for reports throughout that the multi-year process. All right? Are there any questions about that before I move on? Are there any questions at all about that? If that's clear, please put a 1 in the chat if that's clear. When you guys are developing and designing your projects or your programs, right? One of I said there are 3 reasons that nonprofit organizations fail. Nonprofit organizations fail because they don't have a sustainability plan and they are not able to articulate impact. All right? So when you are coming up with your program and you are deciding this is the area of need that we want to meet, all right? Implement, impact, and manage. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And report. Manage and report. Awesome. Awesome. That's it exactly. You guys want to make sure that you are designing a program that is meeting an unmet need, right? That your organization is in position to meet. You are writing to say that there is an unmet need and my organization is in position to meet that need. All right. And in the implementation of that program, you might need community partners. You might need others within your within the community to help you implement the program, right? So if there is an area for teens, hi Mac, thank you so much for coming in, you guys. Thank you for coming in. Please share this with your followers. Hi, Tour. Hi, good morning. Making sure that you guys understand who within your community is going to need to help you. Hi, good morning. Help you implement your program. So if you're saying dealing with, let's say the homeless, right? So a lot of the homeless, there's issues of mental health. Thank you so much for sharing and inviting. There might be an issue of mental health, right? So then you might need to partner with someone within your community to help you deliver that service if that's not something within your area of expertise. If you are dealing with a transition, if you are dealing with a transitional program, right? Thank you so much for inviting. If you are dealing with transition, right? And you are looking to move them from a transitional house out into their own, you might want to partner with banks because they're going to need to save money, right? You might need to put them in position with partners with job placements because they're going to need a job to keep their own place. You might need to partner with people who are realtors to help you find a place for them to go. These are your community partners, bonjour, to help you guys implement your program. All right. A lot of proposals that I read, they don't go into how am I going to meet this need? How am I realistically within my scope and capacity going to meet all the needs of this population? And the truth is, you're not duplicating a service, right? Because you have met a need that no one else is in your organization or in your community meeting, or you are leveraging the relationships of those in your community who may possibly be serving similar groups, similar audiences. However, your program is going to supplement, it is going to enhance a service that's not currently being provided. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? When you are writing the grant, you're going to need to say, how do I know that this is a need? How do I know? Thank you for the yeses. How do I know that this is a need? There can be no assumptions in the grant writing process, because if you assume that there's a need, then the whole application is an assumption. If you assume there is a need, then the whole application is an assumption. And basically, you're asking the funder to fund an assumption. That's not going to happen. How do I know this is a need? That's great, because there is data, right? We work with you in the boot camp. We work with finding out what is the need. One of my boot campers, she came to me and she said, Jen, this is what I think the need is. Her interest was math and science and teaching the kids math and science. And she was adamant. I think the kids need this. I think the kids need that. And I said, well, then let's talk about researching. Let's research it. Let's research the school district. Let's research pass, fail. Let's research how many the data on graduations. Let's just do some research. Let's find out. She comes back and she says, oh my gosh, what I thought was the needs regarding the students wasn't the students. It was the teachers. They're the ones that had the bigger need, because the kids can't learn if the teachers are not teaching them. Why is the teacher teaching them? Because they have a bigger need. They don't have the time. They don't have the capacity. They don't have the skills themselves. All kinds of things she found out. Why? Because she started researching the need. She was about to build a program around an assumption, and that wasn't the need. Now her program is totally shifted to providing support to the teachers. Kids can't learn unless they taught, right? So that's what I want. There is data available to document the need. That is what the funder wants. The funder wants to know, is there a documented fact that there is this need in your community and that you are in the best position or can actually accomplish meeting that need? It has to be documented. Why? How then are you going to measure impact? How then are you going to know that you actually made a change? How will you know? If there is no documented fact, how then can you document change? How can you document change? Right? Please put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Does that make sense? It has to be a documented need in order for you to document the change. It cannot be an assumed need. All right? It cannot be an assumed need. Thank you so much for the 1s. All right? Is the project or the program that you guys are doing, is it within the mission of your organization? So when you research a need, do you put in something like look up the need for yes. All right? And does this program meet within your agency's mission? Many people start writing for the money that has nothing to do with their mission. And I see this a lot, guys, when I am going through applications, right? You say, oh my gosh, this is the money. I need the money. But it is outside of your mission. Now your mission is going all over the place. So I'm looking at your organization. I'm looking at the background and history of your organization. And then y'all got a program that has nothing to do with your organization mission. How then are you implementing the purpose of your organization if you are now working outside of your mission? As a funder, we're saying you just want the money. And how are you going to then report on something that's not within your mission? How are you going to report on that? You can't. And now the question becomes, is the scope of your program reasonable? Is it reasonable? Because it's outside your mission, right? You want to make sure, guys, that is a part of the research that you need to do with the funder. You need to make sure that their mission lines up with your mission. All right. Let's say Walmart and Target as a corporation, they have an educational component. If your organization does not have an educational component in your program, then why are we talking about an educational component? Why are you writing for that? How are you going to implement that? How are you going to measure impact on that? All right. Please, please, please understand the research process. Understand the matching process. Understand how you're going to have to report out on this money. All right. Hello, hello. Are there any questions? All right. The last piece that I want to talk about today is implementation. Okay. When you guys are writing the proposal, you are saying, this is what we're going to do. These are our activities. This is how we're going to be able to measure impact. And based on that, we're going to look at our collaborations. We're going to look at our partnerships. We're going to look at the timeline. We're going to look at our audience. We're going to look at availability and resources. All of that. And we're going to wrap a budget around it. All right. Who is actually going to do the work? How is the project going to be implemented? Who's going to do the work? What are the skills and qualifications, right? Where's it going to be done? One of my boot campers, he's so funny. He wanted to do a after school mentoring program. It was such a wonderful program. And we're talking about it, and we're getting down to this phase of really zeroing in on implementation, because you can't build a budget. You cannot build a budget without understanding the implementation. How are you going to build a budget and you don't know what you're going to do? Because based on what you do, hi, good to see you. Good to see you. Based on what you do is how the money is going to be expensed. Okay. So we're talking, and I said to him, awesome, it's an after school program. Awesome. I said, so where's it going to happen? And he named the location, and I'm like, great. So how are the kids going to get there? Blank stare. He was like, I had not thought about how the kids were going to get there. I'm like, well, how are you going to implement a program with no kids? How the kids going to get there? Hi, Kier. Thank you so much for joining. Guys, this is the level of detail and thought, right? it totally broke down his program, because he was like, it never occurred to me that I got to get the kids here. I'm like, and get them home. How are they going to get home? As we go through the process, right, we realize that he does not have the capacity, and he doesn't live in an area where, you know, buses come. And I mean, it was a really interesting situation. However, what it led to, I said, this is what you do. You find out who else in your community has an after-school program, and you find out if you can implement portions of your program at their facility, because clearly they understand how to get them there. And that's what he did, guys. He started building community partnerships and collaborations. His program was able to move forward. All right. Thank you. His program was able to move forward. It was adjusted, but he was able to meet the need. But once we figured out who was going to do the program and where it was going to be done, that was key in his writing. Because I, as a reviewer, that's the first thing I asked. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm reviewing his proposal, and I'm like, how the kids going to get to you? What time are the kids going to get to you? How long are they going to stay with you? What are they going to do when they get there to you? Right? What is the cycle of activities? Who's going to implement those activities? How are you going to know that the activities are beneficial? That's what I do as a reviewer. I'm breaking all that down. Because then I'm thinking, how are you making a budget and you ain't answered all those questions? Where's the budget come from? How you have a budget with none of that answered? How do you put a budget around that? You cannot. You cannot. All right? You want to know of this program, in the program description, who's going to benefit and what the benefits are. Who's going to benefit and what are the benefits? All right? If it's kids, if it's mentoring, how do you know that they are benefiting from your mentoring? Thank you for coming back, Dr. CC. How do you know? Okay, guys? Can you email an outline of this subject? Can I email you an outline of this subject? I could. It's a part of the training that I'm doing on April 27th, right? It's a part of the training that I'm doing on April 27th. If you would like to send me an email, jen@jenthegrandguru.com, jen@jenthegrandguru.com. All right. Hi, Kimberly. Thank you so much for coming back. Guys, are there any questions? Any questions? There is a fee for the webinar, right? There is a fee for the webinar on April 27th. Next Wednesday. Okay. Where I will be talking about your program. That's your grant, right? How to get grant funding now is the name of that webinar. How to get grant funding now. Once you get the grant, how should your organization be set up to manage the grant, right? It's two ends. Oh, no. For Jen, it's just one. Good. I'm glad you're taking notes. Okay, guys. So you get the grant funding now. You also then need to understand how your organization needs to be set up to manage those funds. And what are the other financial requirements your organization is going to need for the other funding required for your organization to be sustainable. All right. So you get your grant funding, organizational systems and setup, and then how to use that program for additional funding. Because grants only make up about 20%. Yes, that's it. Thank you. Grants only make up about 20% of your organizational budget. However, you want to be able to use that same program to get non-designated dollars for your organization, right? Grants are designated dollars. So you want to get those grants, you want to get the grant funding, but you also want to know how to leverage that program to get the other funding that you need for those non-designated expenses. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Put a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. All right. Thank you so much. Yes, I have been doing this work for close to 30 years. This is what I do. What are non-designated dollars? Non-designated dollars are anything that's not tied. You're welcome. You're welcome. That's not tied to the program, right? So designated dollars means when you are seeking grant funding, all of the money that you are going to receive has to be expensed around this grant, right? So when you are writing the proposal, you are saying, this is what we're going to do. This is who's going to be involved. This is how we're going to do it. This is who's going to do the work, right? So all of the expenses that you have put in the budget, that you have submitted to a foundation, the expectation is that the monies that you receive from that grant only go to fund this program. Now, the program and your overall organization are two different things. What's in your organization? Your salaries, your building expenses, your lights, your program, your supplies, your materials that are not being implemented on this program, right? You are not running this program 24 hours a day. You are not spending your whole day on this program. If it's a mentoring program, if it's an after-school program, if it's a transition program, if it's whatever it is, right? All of those expenses tied to that program delivery and implementation, the funds that you receive from grants are designated for that. Your other expenses, right? Your development, your fundraising, your marketing, your communications, your other administrative support, those are non-designated dollars, right? So every organization has to have a diverse stream of income. Grants are not intended to be your entire organizational budget. All right. So in my boot camp, I talk about that. In this webinar on the 20th of next week, that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to tell you guys how you need to set up a system, because that is sustainability. That is sustainability, is being able to get the other 80% of your organizational budget supported by non-designated dollars. So that's going to be money from individuals, major donors, corporations, in kind, your volunteer support, all of that. That say, hey, you can just spend this money however you need to keep your organization running. But if you get write a grant, that is designated dollars to that program. All right. So that is why I came up with this webinar. This webinar was designed and created to answer those questions of how do I leverage this program so that I can then take it and raise money from other areas for sustainability. And what does my organization need to look like? From the leadership to my communication systems, right? To my collaborations and partnerships, all of that. That's why I created this program. It's going to be on Wednesday, April 27th, 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, let me say this. You guys think going to, you will be there, pen and paper in hand. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is the bit.ly. Guys, listen, I talk to people every day who think, oh, I can do this on my own. I can do this on my own. And I'm thinking, yeah, you can do it on your own. You absolutely can. But by the time you call me, and everything that we talk about is money. Everything we talk about is money. And not the program implementation, which is why your organization exists, then I know that you don't have a sustainability plan. And if the conversation is, every dime that I make goes back into making sure that the organization is run, I said, well, then I know that you are not using those funds on program impact or implementation. This is not then about the need that you are trying to meet. This is about you trying to keep enough money in the pocket so that you can continue to, and that not having a plan is not a good plan. Not understanding the professional ways of running your organization means you could fail and you might not be able to get other donors. Why? Why would a donor want to give money into an organization that does not have a plan? When it is a competitive process. And like I said, I read hundreds of proposals. It's not like there's a shortage of applications. What makes you competitive? because you're not meeting your need if you don't understand the system. That's just the truth of that. All right? So I came up with this webinar because I hoped that for those of you guys who cannot afford my boot camp where we go through the program, I get it. I get it. I've been doing this work for close to 30 years. I get it. Right? So everything that I create, I try to create it in such a way that you'll be able to go out and leverage the information to get your money back. I've worked in the nonprofit. I'm not just a person who sits up here and talks about a subject I just know about. I've done the work. I've done the work. All right? I started writing grants as an intern close to 30 years ago. I have trained inside international organizations. I have raised millions of dollars. I have raised millions of dollars. So I know what it takes. I know what it takes. I've been the executive director, right? I know what it takes. I know what it takes. And I'm happy to share it with you, right? But if you want free, Google is free. But Google ain't going to tell you how to make sure your organization is sustainable. It's not going to tell you how. It'll tell you what to do, but it won't tell you how to do it. And that's where many of you guys are stuck. You're just like, I just don't know how. Because if you knew how, you'd be doing it. Yeah, Google University ain't going to tell you how. All right? Any questions? Any questions? Thank you for sharing and giving such valuable information. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I try to every day come back and share something that I hope, again, that you guys will talk to your boards with, talk to your affiliates, talk to the people that you are partnering with to make sure that this type of thinking is going into whatever your plan is and making sure you have a plan, because not having a plan is not a good plan. All right? That when you are not, you're welcome. You're welcome. Making sure, guys, that when you are not actually administering the program, that you are putting thought into how am I leveraging my relationships, my communications, my leadership to get the non-designated dollars. Everything I need to do, every relationship that I have, every conversation should go into my program impact. Why do nonprofit organizations fail? Because they do not have a sustainability plan and they are not able to articulate impact. And that is what this is going to be. All right. This is a webinar that's on April 27th. Once this is done, it's $67 up until that day. After that, anybody can purchase it for $97. You want to purchase it, you can buy it. But you won't be able to have me on answering your questions, right? Thank you so much for the hearts. I appreciate that. So the webinar, this particular webinar is $67. If you miss it, you want it, you can pay $97 after the fact. You just won't have me live, right? If you pay the $67 and you miss it, I'll send you the link because you paid for it. However, if you don't register and you want this later, it's going to cost you $97. All right? I tell you guys, listen, I give y'all enough warning. Don't pay me. Listen, don't do it. I train you guys. It's $67. The webinar next Wednesday is $67. Bit.ly, get grant funding now. It's $67. You're going to have me answering questions. I'm actually even going to take a program and we're going to go through it. I will answer every question that you guys have. And we're going to be talking about getting the grant funding, your organizational structure to not only get the grant, but to manage the grant, because you're going to have to report back on that grant. And then how to take that program from that grant to get the other funding that you need for a diverse funding stream. That's sustainability. Do it come with materials that we keep? Yes. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? I will be sending out the materials and the information on the platform for those who have already applied. You'll be getting those on Monday. All right. It's $67. After Wednesday, on Wednesday, and after that, then the same webinar is $97. You just won't have me as a person who's live and answering your questions. Everyone who gets it after that will just have the link of the recording. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? Anything? You guys, if you want to be in my private Facebook group, right, where I do live, deadline to sign up until the 27th. You can sign up until the 27th for $67. On the 27th, it's going up to $97. All right, so you have up until next week. Okay. My private Facebook group, if you would like to be a part of my private Facebook group where I come in, I do live streams, I answer questions, I give all kinds of tips and post things that I just can't post here. But you do Twitter. Awesome. I'm on Twitter as well. All right. Send me an email with your Facebook name and I will send you an invite to the club. All right. Any questions before I let you guys go? What is this? This is all about grant writing. I am the grant guru. I am a nonprofit expert. I have been writing, researching, and reviewing grant proposals for close to 30 years, right? I work within, you are so welcome. I work within the nonprofit organizations to help them not only, yes, thank you so much for posting the email address. Thank you so much. Oh, the grant guru. Thank you. But it's the grant guru. Yes, thank you so much for that. I train and help nonprofit organizations make sure that they have the leadership, the organizational structure, and the systems in place to not only get grants, but to sustain and maintain their organization for long-term funding. Yes, grant. Yes, that's it right there. You are awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that. All right, guys, any questions at all? I really want you to win. I want you to be successful. I really want you to invest in the right information. I know that many of you guys are really struggling, really struggling, right? And there is help. And I try to make all of my fees affordable, okay? But it can't be free because people don't respect free. Have a blessed day, Dr. CC. We'll see you later. God bless you. God bless you. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. I will be back a little bit later. Please send information. Send me a request. Send me an email at jen@jenthegrantguru.com. All right, send me an email requesting the information you want, and I will respond. You want me to win? Oh, yeah, I want you to win. You're welcome. The link, guys, the link to the webinar is on the Periscope profile. The link to the webinar is on my Periscope profile, okay? And so you're able to get to the link there as well. All right? If there are no other questions, I will be back later. Thank you guys so much for your hearts. Thank you for your interaction and for your questions. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you to the replay viewers. I will be back later. This is what I do, guys. I've been doing this work for close to 30 years, and I really want you guys to have the information, credible information, valuable information that you guys can take and utilize, right? But those people who just like collecting information, this may not be for you, but I really want you to take what I share and use it. I want you to meet with your board. I want you to meet with your colleagues and your stakeholders and figure out, is this a part of our current organizational system? If not, then it needs to be. And if you need help making that happen, I can help you with that, right? I do trainings. People say to me, Jen, can you come and train my staff, train my board? Can you help us put our systems in place? I can absolutely do that as well. All right. You guys have a wonderful rest of your morning. I'm in Southern California, so it may be a little later where you guys are, but I will be back a little bit later on today. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. God bless you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.